Okay. So we have these cases, right? So what I had done, I had just copied this. I duplicated this.
Right.
So I get a cases copy. I rename this. So I'm just going to rename it as oops. Okay. When I add this, sorry, one second. I don't want it this way. I want it as a column. So one second. I did not come. One second. Let me just try it again. As of now, it's showing it this way. I don't want it this way. Date. Yes, this is how I wanted it. And I make this day. And then it's a day. Still, it comes like this only. But move. One second. I had see basically what I had done was what I wanted to compare was when I add a running total to this, right? If I add a running total to the second one, to add that, I go here, quick cable calculation and running total. Okay. So for this, I am getting a running total. So this is the sum of, this is supposed to be the sum of all the cases in that particular, till that particular time. Okay, it's not coming over here. So I edit this. So it's giving me the cases, total cases for that till that time when I added both of these, when I consider both of these, country code and the date of representation. Okay. Did you get it or no?
No.
One second. Let me just consider this. I'm going to just show the table calculation. Okay. So I have taken this table this. I am considering this as a country territory code as a table. I added cases duplicates. Okay. It's giving me the sum of all the cases till then. Now
Correct.
when I add the date right over here,
Hmm.
I'll show this date as a day. I'm going to swap it horizontally,
Okay.
make it into a table. Okay, so I'm getting all these cases by day. I'm getting the value of the cases by day, but I want the sum of all these cases,
Yes.
cumulative sum. So that is why when I click over here,
Hmm.
I go to quick table calculation, add running total.
And you do too.
Yeah, so over here, I'm still not getting that value. So when I do this, I edit the table calculation. It's using a sum, but I need to use the specific dimension wherein I'm using country code. If I just don't use this, right, if I just use this, I will still get the value. Okay, I will still get the value. But now if I change this to You understood till here?
Yeah, yeah.
So now if I just change this to adding USA, right? If I add USA also in this, what it's going to do, I mean, it's giving it in this way. This is also correct, but normally sometimes what will happen if it adds USA below it, right? If I have USA, let's say if I put USA over here, sorry.
Yeah, then it will start summing the cases of India in USA, right?
Yes. So this is working this way also. That is what somebody had mentioned last time also, right? Just use the single one. Just use one of them also. That should work. You need not use this also, but just on the date, it's changing. That is why it's you're able to. So in Excel, right? If you know in Excel, you have subtotal, right? You have subtotals. So if
Yeah.
I have that file, so if I take this data, or let's say if I select only, I'm selecting only this data. This data. Now in Excel, you have this option of adding a, is it subtotal? Is it? Excel is stuck. Oops. Subtotal, subtotal. It's supposed to be here only. Why don't I see it? You will call it consolidate now. I don't know. Where did it go? How is that possible? Do you see that option in your Excel?
Yeah, I'm
In
checking.
in data, it's supposed to be there.
Mm. Check under outline, subtotal. See.
Where they've kept it. Wow, and sad. Thank you. So here, right, if I have this information over here, I want to add a subtotal on the change of each date. Okay, I am using the sum function. What do I want to sum? I want to sum the cases, this column cases which is there. Okay, so if I do it this way, so here it's giving me a sum based on each of those values. Okay, this is not what I want. So here I want to change at each country, country territory code, not at the date. Okay, so here at each country territory code, if I do this, I will get India total cases, USA total, and the grand total. That is what that function is doing over there. That quick table calculation of running total, you can think of it like this. Make sense? Hello?
Sorry, I was on mute. Yes.
Okay, thank you. So coming back, we have almost covered everything. There was just one small thing which I wanted to talk about, but that topic is also kind of redundant in the latest version of Tableau, from what I read. There is a topic called as blending of data. So if you're using a older version other than 2020, right, what happens is you cannot do a join on data which is in an Excel format and a CSV format. You cannot do that join. But what the 2020 version provides you is that you can join. You don't need to blend the data now. You can join the data using data sets of different formats. In the sense, if you have an Excel file and a CSV file, you can still blend that data. If you have, the purpose of blending was, one was for this, a different extension, and the other was granularity of the data is different. In the sense, one sheet has, let's say I'll show that to you. Now you have these two files. So I have this data and I have this data, country. So here it's country and it's over here country and sales agent, right? So if you have to find out the total sales quota for US, you need to do a sum. Okay, in Excel you need to do sum if, like practically I need to take this range and criteria, right? What do you want to sum? What is the range and the criteria? You have to put that formula over here. Okay, in sum if. But I am using only 3 records over here. Okay, here I have the 5 records. So it's easier. Even if I do a join, I'll get the same answer. The difference between blending and the joining is, what blending does, it's going to sum these records before joining the data. So it's going to be kind of faster. But now, like I mentioned, in 2020, you don't need to kind of look at that. You can easily get that option within here. So let me just show that to you and we'll see how those two files even look like, right? You have data blending. So I have both in CSV. If I take this file, I see this data, then I add another, what did I take? Sales quota. So I see these two options. Okay, when I go to this sheet, right, I should see, where is my other? I don't know, see this one. Just change that one second. Yes, see, now I see both the files because they're of two different formats. So I have an Excel file and I have a CSV file. Okay, so I loaded both of those files over here. One is this one, and the other one was the other one. Okay, so if I have to join this data, either I keep the what do you say? So if you notice, this is country, this is also country. So if I go to this data and you see this option over here, edit blend relationships, I am seeing both of those files over here. If I click on this, it is automatically adding these two fields. It is automatically joining on that country over here. Okay, it is automatically done that. I don't need to do anything practically. So if I add this country over here, I'm seeing this value. So when I click on this, right, you see this blue tick mark which is showing. So it is telling you, and if I add number of records from here, I'm getting an orange tick mark over here. So it is telling you the primary and the secondary database from where the data has been taken. And now you see a link over here. This link is that link of the data or the blended relationship. It is this link. Okay, let me show you a better example. Another example. I was trying that in the morning. But did you get what I did or no? Should I repeat this? I have just loaded two files. I have loaded two different files to show you how blending works. I can select any of these two files, right? And if I can actually add the sales quota over here. I can remove this number of records. From here, I can add the sales value. So this is the sales quota. So I can actually compare these two values from these two different tables. I can achieve this using a join also, but the benefit of a blending is it does it before. You don't need to do this summing over here, the aggregation initially. Okay, and that's what happened in the join. You have to sum that value and then get that data. But in blending, the data is already summed. That is, the query is fired for each of those databases. The data is already summed, and it is kind of faster, is what I understand. Make sense or no? Hello, anybody there? You guys understood, or should I repeat? You can message in the chat if you understood or
Repeat,
not.
please.
Okay, let me just repeat that. Let me open a new one. So first of all, I am going to load two files. One is an Excel, one is a CSV. This is an Excel file. I go over here, data source, load a CSV file. When I go over here, I'll see these two databases. One is this, one is the Excel file, one is the CSV file. Okay. Now when I can compare the information in both of these. Okay, I have data by country over here. So I take country over here. I click on country. I have converted this into a table. Okay, so it is telling me data by country. Then I can change the uh, I can add the sales over here. I can put it like a graph if I want to. Okay. Now when I go to the second sheet, I have a sales quota over here. So if I click on the sales quota, I will get the sales quota for that particular country. Let me just remove this graph and show you as a table. So you are able to see the sales quota over here. Does it make sense? I have taken data from two different tables, from two different sources, and I am able to still get the report that I want. Normally, you will not work with only one source of system, one source. You might have to work with multiple sources. So that is where you have to use a join or you have to blend the data.
So,
Yes.
so for this, don't you have to like join the data and then upload it on Tableau and then work?
No, you don't need to. Tableau has that option of joining, right? Even if, see, I can achieve this. Let's say, let me show this to you. Let's try a different way. Yes. Let me data. So I'm seeing only still I'm seeing the two files I see, right? Let me do one thing. So now I'm going to try and load this file. Okay. Load this. So in this file, I have this and this. Okay, when I do this, I'm going to join on the country. Okay. When I go over here, I see those two tables in this itself. Right? I see the quota table and I see the sales table. So again, over here, I can do the same thing. I have the country, I have the sales quota, and I have the sales. I'm still getting the same output in terms of this. See, I see still get the same output, right? In terms of sales and sales quota. I have the sales quota and I have the sales. I'm still getting the same values. Yeah. Look same. So by joining data and by blending data, I can still get the same output. The only difference is the way it was structured, the way if I read the information right, in blending, my performance should be better. Okay, because it is already summing those values and getting you those output. I don't really need to kind of here this calculation is at runtime, but in blending that calculation has already happened is what I understand. It's more technical, but as of now, like I said, you don't need in the latest version. You can even join data sets of different formats, be it Excel or CSV. You can join those two formats as well. Hello? Any questions, guys, or was that little over the head? Hello? Oh, yeah, anybody there?
Yes, so
Okay. So I'll try and get a simpler example than this to explain, but we'll do that next time. But now I want to move to something called as VBA. So I'm not sure if you use VBA. It's called Visual Basic for Application. And by the way, just one more thing. In Tableau, so there is an option for highlighting data also. So we had seen that example that let's say if I have, I'll just show you. I've taken orders over here. So I'm going to create a couple of graphs. Okay. And I'm going to add order date and sales and show it as this and date. Okay. And I'm going to add product category and color. So there is one option I can highlight. I had shown this earlier. If I click on this button over here and I highlight, I can highlight this. But I can do this in the dashboard as well, in the sense I can add a specific, like you have a filter, I can add a highlight option as well. Okay. So to do that, I go to dashboard, actions. So I've already created that. I'm going to remove that. Add highlight. When I do this right, I get something like this. I'm just going to click OK for now. And when I click this, it highlights this particular graph on the right. It's the same thing as what we did over here. I get the same output in terms of highlighting these values. So in filter, right? In filter, I am just going to filter the entire data. I'm going to click only one graph. But in highlight, if I add, click on this filter over here and click this, I'm going to see only one graph. But in highlight, I see all the graphs, but I see the one which I have selected more prominent as compared to the others. The others are kind of grayed out. Got the idea? All right. Thank you. So let's go back to. So we have seen Excel. We have seen Excel quite a lot. We talked about Excel, especially the engineering students. We talked about Excel for almost 10 sessions. Okay. So now we're going to see something more interesting about Excel. Okay. I have, I can actually write a simple program in Excel. Right? We want to, let's say, create a small interface for that matter. But let's say if I want to just say, I'm just going to show you a simple example. I created this, I close that, and I can even, one second, insert a button. Okay. If I click on this, I get a message, hello, right? So this is what is a very simple example of a Visual Basic application. In any Microsoft product, you can write something, you can write a program that is called as a macro. Okay. In terms of, I can even do the same thing in a PowerPoint for that matter, right? I can write a macro in a PowerPoint also. So here I can insert a button like this. Okay, I can add a button over here. If I go over here, so if I run this, so I get this message in the PowerPoint also. So any Microsoft product, be it Excel, I can do the same thing in Word if I want to. Even I can do it in AutoCAD. Okay, there are any application of Microsoft, you can write a macro. So what is a macro? Right, we have seen a lot of things. This is a programming language. A macro is a literal sense, it's a programming language. There are a lot of functions. So the first step I want you all of you to do is open a blank Excel file. You can open a blank Excel file. I'm going to remove this. Open a blank Excel file. Everybody has the Excel file open.
Yeah.
So the first step, right, is I want to open the editor. To open the editor, there are two ways of doing it. One is I press Alt F11. Okay, Alt and F11. It will go directly to the editor. When I go to the editor, I'll come back to this screen. The other option is press Alt and F8. In some cases, you might not be getting this because your macros might be disabled. Is anybody getting that error? Your macro is disabled, or you are not? Are you getting some error? Something is disabled. Everybody sees this screen or no? When you do Alt plus F11, does everybody get this screen? Yes, Alt F8 is to run the macro actually. So if I go to click on Alt F8, I can create a new macro. I can write test and create. So I'll still go back to this particular screen. I still go to this editor screen. Is everybody able to get to the screen or no? Okay. So can one of you share your screen, Jill or Ansh? Can one of you share your screen? I'm going to stop sharing. Let me know if you're not able to share your screen. Can you share your screen now? Yeah. What happens when you press Alt and F8? Alt F11.
Nothing happens.
Okay. Go to File.
Yeah.
Go to Options. Go to Advanced or other Trust Center. Trust Center. Go to Trust Center. Okay. Trust Center settings. There you see macro settings. It's written disable all macros. So select the last option, enable all macros. Press OK. Press OK. Now try Alt F11. All right. So you're getting this. Right. So go to File over here. Go to File.
Okay.
That file. Nothing is happening on that. Go to. Can you give me control? 1 second. So here, if I see right, insert module. So I'll get the screen to write over here. So this is where I had. So if I write test message box, hello. Right, so I write this and I have to save it. So when you save the file, right, you are supposed to save it as not this XLSX but XLSM, because if you don't save it as XLSM, this will actually remove the macro. Okay, so now if I go to the Excel file, right, and press Alt F8, if I get that, I will get the list of this macros which are there. And if I click run, I will get this hello that I wrote over here. The other way to do it also is I can run it from here. If you see, notice over here, this option F5. So if I just have my cursor in this particular function, right? So these are all your functions. This is the sub. These are all those functions which you have, whatever code you have written, right? It has to be within this. The cursor has to be within this box, sub and end sub. Okay. And now if I press F5 or if I click on this play button, I'll still be able to run the macro. Make sense? Did everybody understand?
Yeah.
So, okay, stop sharing. Ansh, you got it or no? Were you able to get the editor? Right. So let's try this again. So everybody try this, right? Sub test on the editor, and so it's like message box is like a print statement. So hello world. Okay, message box, hello world. If I run this, it will show me hello world. As simple as that. Everybody got it? Anybody facing any issues?
Sir, I didn't got it. I am trying since that
Can
time on.
you share your screen? If you're not able to share your screen, let me know. Who was that, by the way? I didn't catch the name. No, Vignesh. Gulshan.
Sir, I can't share.
Gulshan, right?
Yes, sir.
Try now. Okay, go to Trust Center settings. Click on Trust Center settings.
Yes, sir.
Macro settings. Enable all macros. Okay. Click OK. Okay. Now press Alt F7 or
So
Alt
it's
F8. Press Alt F8.
yes, sir.
आपका वो कीबोर्ड कुछ अलग है तो आप अच्छा एक काम करो फाइल में जाओ फाइल गो टू फाइल
Yes, sir.
यस ऑल्ट फंक्शन F11 गो टू फाइल ऑप्शंस go to customize ribbon go to customize ribbon you should see the developer tab is there on the right developer you see developer click on that developer right way the right side
Right side.
the developer है उस पर click करो okay करो so you will see a developer ribbon above click on the developer yeah so here you see the macros so click on macros और visual basic पे click करो starting में ना left में so you get that box like Ansh was saying on your keyboard you will probably have to press alt function and F11 so now type your test यहाँ पे टेस्ट टाइप करो जैसे हाँ क्रिएट so you get this right over here message box hello not hello message box hello message box and in double quotes hello msg box no space in between no sm message box space in double quotes hello now press F5 or whatever press the run button over there on the top ऊपर रन का प्ले का बटन दिख रहा है प्ले प्ले उसके नीचे हाँ रन करो got it anybody else getting any issue okay
So should I stop sharing now?
yeah thank you
Thank you, sir.
everybody else got that no issues okay very good so let's look at something more so like I said that every application of Microsoft is capable of visual basic for application you don't need a really a what do you say you can actually code in that you don't need any additional software for that matter it's actually easier in a way okay so this is what I did so these are the keywords alt F11 if you want to press F1 you'll get some help over there F9 is a breakpoint so if I want to run one by one right so I'll just show that to you if I want to run line by line if I do message box hello and if I press F8 it's going to go line by line
Sir,
yes
I think you have not shared your screen together, please.
okay my bad sorry okay can you see my screen now Okay, cool. Thank you. So here is what we saw. We saw how to open a macro, right? How do you start? You open the Excel sheet and you press Alt and F8. Okay. By the way, what you see over here, right? These are my own macros which I had written. So these are all, you can actually build something like this also. It's like a custom bar I had created, a menu bar which I had created for myself. For a When I was in Sintel, I had done this. So that is where we wanted to kind of create some analysis and create these buttons. So you can add these buttons. You can add a menu bar in Excel itself, like you have over here. The help. You can add your own functionalities in this. Okay. You can even write a macro in Outlook. I had written quite a lot of macros in Outlook also. So here, what we saw was creating a simple hello world, right? You press this and type the name of the macro. Then you press Alt F8 and then click on create. When you do that, you get to this screen. This is the name of the macro testing over here. We call it test or whatever name you gave it, right? Once you have that, I also show, so if you want to toggle, right? If you want to have a step-by-step execution of this code, you can press F8. Or if you click on debug, right, you can have step intro. That is what I'm saying. F8. For others, you might have function F8, but it works with this. So it's telling step by step, I can go and execute each line instead of running everything. Right? If you want to run everything, I just press F5. Make sense till now? I can make it stop at a particular point also. If I click on this bar on the left, right? If I click my mouse on this bar on the left, I will be able to stop the code at that point of time. So if I press F5 and run it, it's going to stop at that point of time. So this is for primarily for debugging if there is any error in that particular code. So again, I can remove all the debug. If I clear all breakpoints, it will remove all of them if I have multiple, or if I just click on it again, that breakpoint will get removed. Do you want to try this? You guys want to try this? Just write two sentences: message box hello, message box world, and try to run it step by step. Instead of F5, run it F8, F8, step intro. Try to run it step by step. If facing any issue, let me know. If you need any help, let me know. Just message and we'll get on it. Everybody tried this? Is anybody not getting this? These are very simple functions which you would require done. Very good. So if you are from Somya Engineering, if you haven't messaged your name or posted your name in the chat, please do that. There is the yellow arrow. This yellow you're talking about, this is what is telling you where the code is executing. Exactly. This is telling you at this point the code. I can actually drop it. I can move this like this manually also. If I don't want to execute this line, right, I can just move my mouse like that, and I'll just get the second message box. If I want to skip a line manually, I can do that. All right, everybody understood this? So let's look at something more. There are basic commands. Okay, let's say I want to populate a particular cell. Okay, I'm going to, if I want to mark this off, right, I put a single quote in the beginning to mark it off. Okay. If I don't want to run this line, right, I'll put a single quote. Nothing in the message box will not come. Now let's say I want to add a particular value in this column. I want to add a number in this column. Okay. Let's say I do this cells. So the format is the cells. So when you type cells, right, it will show you like something like this. It's going to show you row number, row index, and column index. So if I put 1, 1, which is indicating this is the cell, this A1, this is the cell which I want to populate. This cell is the one which I want to populate. Okay. So I can put cell 1, 1 is equal to 10. Now if I run this, the value is populated over here. Make sense? Can you try this? The formula is cells 1, 1 or 2, 2 or 2, 3, whatever you want. When I run this, I get this. You need to press F5 or press this play button. Somebody facing an issue. Are you able to get it? Everybody got it? Anybody who's not getting this? I just wrote this function cells 2, 2, 1, 1, and I am populating this Excel sheet. If I want, I can even type something like this. One, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'll type this 10, 20, 30, 40. If I run this, these values are getting populated like this. Everybody
So,
got it? Yes.
so when I press F5, then it starts running from message box. So what
Yeah.
if I want only to run from 10, 20, 30, 40?
We need to mark that code off. That's what I said. Put a single quote in front of message box.
Okay.
So it becomes green. When it becomes green, it indicates the code is not executable, which is not going to run. It's just a comment. Are you able to get it now?
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else facing any issue? If not, let me know. I believe you have got it. Okay, so that is how the cells formula works, right? Now I can select a particular range if I want to. Like normally, now let's say every time I want to run this, right? I now change this. I want to clear that value. Okay, I want to clear this particular value, this particular range if I want to select. You notice over here I have from A1 till D4. That is the range. If I select this, it is only A1 to A1. This is B2 to B2, C3 to C3. If I select from here to here, it is, so if I select this, right, two row into two columns. You notice on the left top it says two rows into two columns. You just notice over here when I select this, 2R into 2C. So this is A1 is to B2 because from here till this point, that is the range. So now if I want to just select that particular range, right? I want to say range dot select in single quotes A1 is to B, or let's say D4 if I say. Now if I do this, if I run this line, where's the function? Yeah, sorry. This is this, not this, sorry. Range and this range. So now if I go over here, right, this range is selected. It was not selected earlier. So if I'm just running the first line, this range is selected. Right now I can do anything with this range. I can delete this data. So if I want to delete this data, I'll write selection dot where, right, what it should be, selection dot, let's see if this works. When I did this, it deleted that record. Earlier the data was there over there. I ran 10, 20, 40. If I want to just clear that information, right, I just or delete that data, selection dot clear. I select a particular range and I can clear it. So till this point, I have cleared that. You want to try this? Try these two lines, range and clearing that data. Everybody got it? Anybody facing any issue? You want to try these two lines, range and selection dot clear. If I want to have, before I explain that, did you guys get it or no? If you've not got it, let me know. If you got it, just type in the chat box, yes, you got it. Right. So 2 people have got it, 3 people have got it. Okay. Okay. In the same way, now if I have multiple sheets in the Excel file, right? So I'm going to add a sheet over here. I have sheet 1, I have sheet 2. I want to enter 1 over here in this particular value. I want to enter 2 in this particular sheet. Okay. So if I have not written anything over here, right, in terms of the sheet, by default, whichever sheet is open, the macro is going to run on that particular sheet. So if I run this macro now, right, it's going to run in, I'm getting the output in the sheet 2. If I select, let's say, another sheet like this, and if I run this macro, the output comes in sheet number 3. So whichever sheet is open, it's going to enter that value. Whatever program you've written is going to run on that particular sheet. But I don't want it that way. I want to select a particular sheet. So in order to do that, I need to write sheets. Yes, brackets, sheet 1, 2, 3, or whatever that may be, and select. So now, even if I'm in sheet number 3, right? If I am in sheet number 3, okay, and if I run this code, the data is going to come in sheet 1 only. It has moved to sheet 1. So try this. Sheets, the name of the sheet in double quotes within brackets, dot select. Are you guys able to try this? If you are able to try this, just message yes. If you are facing any issue, just let me know. In the chat box, you can type yes if you have got this. You need to add the sheets. You need to add the sheets over here to try that. You guys get it? Yes or no? And we will put this code in the chat so that it's easy. you got it, just message yes. If you need some help, then do please message. All right, one person has got it. You have to run only one line. You press F8. You will run that. You press F8. When you press F8, so if I just want to run the range line, right? If I press F8, I can move my mouse over here like this. Make sense? I click on that. What I did was I pressed F8 and I dragged this to the line which I want to run, range. Sorry. Did you get that? Ideally, there is no way directly to running to a specific line. You have to manually go and execute that. So like in Python or any other tool, right? You can select a particular line and run it, but that is not how it works in Excel. It's a complete program in itself. So you have to run from start to end. Everybody got this? If you're not got it, let me know. Otherwise, we move to the next point. As of now, we have just looked at very basic aspects in a macro. We have been able to move from one particular sheet to another. You can, what we can do is also is you can, so I have added this in one particular sheet. Okay. Now I will move this to another sheet and in the same way I will type 50, 60, 70, 80. Okay, I can do the same thing over here. And if I run this, so in this sheet 1, I get 10, 20, 30, 40. Sheet 2, I get 50, 60, 70, 80. Make sense? So I can do it. I mean, once I know in which sheet I want what data, I have just taken that and shifted it to another sheet. Okay, I've just done that. Now, if I want to know the row number where your cursor is in your Excel, okay, where your cursor is in your Excel. So if I have my cursor over here, right, and if I, in the beginning itself, I am going to type active cell dot row. And if I type that active cell dot row and I put a message box just to see what that value is instead of assigning it to anything. So it's telling me it's 9. So you can notice it is the cell is in the 9th row. Make sense? So I am getting I'm able to find out that now if I want to find out in the same way the row, I want to find out the column. I can do it that way. So I can see it is in the 5th column, A, B, C, D, E. Now I can assign this value instead of something like this, right? I can assign it to a particular field. So instead of this message box, right, I can put row num equal to something like that, and column num equal to this. So what happens is when I run this now, and if I move my mouse on top of this value, right, I can see the value when I'm doing it F8, F8, right? If I'm doing it a step debugging mode, whatever you call it, right? I'm running it step by step. I'm able to see the value of that particular field. So technically, this is a variable row number. I don't need to assign it in any way. That's the benefit of VBA. You don't need to really assign a variable, but here, and I can just use it. I just typed row num equal to active cell dot row. I'm getting that, and this column num also. I'm getting the value of 5. Now I can message box this, or I can put it in a cell also if I want to. So if I want to put this in a cell, I do cells, and if I put the row number 1 comma 10 is equal to row num and 2 comma 10 is equal to col num. And if I want to run this, I can just move my cursor above just to showcase that. And if I run it now, it shows me those two values. Okay, you want to try this? Try row num, which is active cell dot row, and column num, which is active cell dot column. See? So I've entered that in the chat also, whatever code I have written over here. I have put that in the chat. You can try that. Any issues? Any doubts? Is it simple till now? Complicated? Interesting? Okay, there's a question over how to print variables and text in one message box. All right. So you want to print the variables and text in one message box. So I will say message box. Okay. Hello. Let's see this. What does it work? Plus करता है कि and go now. Let's see if this works. Okay, it works. You have to use the ampersand symbol. Okay. If I want to print both the text and the variable, between those two, put an ampersand sign. You should be able to showcase both of them. All right. Anybody else has any questions? Were you guys able to try this? Can we move to the next point? Next topic, next variable. We tried this selection.clear. You can even try selection.font, selection.copy, and the few more stuff, right? Now, every time, before I get into the variables, were you guys able to try this? Just message if you were able to try it. So I have active sheets.name. So if I want to rename a sheet, right? So I can go to select sheet one, right? And I type over active sheets, sheet.name, go to data. Now the problem with this, right? I have renamed the sheet, but if I run this macro again, I'm going to get an error because it will not find sheet one. All right, make sense? If I do it this way, I have renamed it, but this code will not run. I will need to mark this on the renaming piece actually, or it should be that it's going to run only once. Like in any variable. So should I go ahead to the next point? Should I move forward to the next point? Can you guys message in the chat box if you understood or not? You guys, Aaron, Ansh, Jayant, Parth, you guys understood? Were you able to try this? Okay. All right. So let's go to something else. Now, if I have written this macro as test, right? But let's say I want to, whenever I open an Excel sheet, I want this macro to run. So if I give this name as auto underscore open, right? If I give this name, I am going to delete this data. Okay, let's see this. So instead of this sheet, I'm going to put it as data. I close this Excel. When I open this Excel, my first macro, this macro has to be enabled. When it does that, right, it's going to run the macro whatever I've written for the first time. So anytime you open your sheet, you want to do some calculations, you have to give that name as auto underscore open. So that is when it will run the macro whenever you open the Excel sheet. Right? So let's move to the other point. So like in any other programming language, there are variables. You can assign a variable. So there is Boolean, there is a byte, there is a date. I'm not getting into all of this, but you can look this up in terms of integers. The declaration is same, right? In terms of however you want to look at it. And these are the ranges in terms of how those variables are defined. Okay. So I can declare, let's say if I just show you one as Boolean. So I can type that over here. That is how I declare it. So so it shows me what value it can take. So if I put true, or if I put, because it's Boolean, it can have only two values, true or false. Those are the two values it can have. That's it. So like this, you can declare any other variable, integer, single, double. Each of them has a meaning, each of them has a purpose. But I have hardly declared any variables whenever I'm using macros because you don't need to. It's only in specific cases you need to declare them. So now let's look at an if then else statement. Okay. So in if then else, like in any other programming language, I want to check for a particular function. So I'm going to add another sub over here. So I write if statement and I'm going to go to sheets. So I'm going to go to sheet 3. Okay, I'm going to go to sheet 3 and I am going to add a column 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sheet, sheet 3 dot select. I'm going to select that sheet and I'm going to check if what this value is 1 or 2 or 3. Based on that, I'm going to put a value in this particular column in B2, B3, B4, B5, B6. Okay. So I'm going to write a if statement if cells of, so I'm going to hard code that value. So this is 1, the row number is 2, column number is 1. So the cells, the row number 2, comma 1 equal to, so let's say if I put it is greater than 0, then cells 2, comma 2 equal to greater than 0. I'm just putting this just to show an example. This is a very simple if statement. So if I run this, it becomes greater than 0. Let's say I put it as -1. And if I run this now, nothing has happened because this greater than 0 is already there. So I need to clear that also. So I will have to write an else statement in this. Else less than 0. So now if I run this, it has come less than 0. To try this, I am putting this in the message in the chat box. So this is as good as any other if statement, right? You have a if, then a else, that is you're writing multiple if then else statements. Now if I have to repeat this for the next row, right? I mean, practically it's not feasible for me to do it this way. I can do it this way also. So I'll do row 3, right? And if I put this something like this, and if I run it, it's going to give me the value for both of them. Were you guys able to try this? Anybody facing any issue? Everybody got it or no? Everybody understood how to use the if statement? Hey, did you get it? Right. Cool. Let's say now I want to do this for, I have like, I'm just going to make it like this, ran between -100 to 200. And I have to do this for whatever, 300 rows, right? I mean, I can write a function and do it also, but the difference between using a macro and a function is that function is going to actually take up a lot of space in the file because you're writing a function. And I can do it over here also. If I can write a function, right? If this is greater than 0, then put greater than 0, else less 0. Right? Those are the only two options. Yeah. Like this, those are the only two options which comes up. But what happens in this, right? It takes up more space on your desktop, laptop, whatever it is. The size of the file increases. But if I run a macro, that size of the file will not increase. But how do I run this? Now I have written an if statement. I can go on writing it, but I cannot write it for 200 lines, right? So what I need to do is I need to do a for loop. So in VBA, if I want to write a for loop, so I'm just going to write sub for, yeah. So for I is equal to 1 to 10, and next I. So I am going to just show you how this works. Message box. I want to go to 10. I'll just go to 5. I have to click so many times. Okay, so if I run this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Make sense? So I have got this, right? I have got this sub for loop for I is equal to 1 to 5, and I am printing this value. I am showcasing this value. Now I want to repeat this. Okay, I want to repeat this. So I am just going to copy this line because I still want to go to that sheet 3. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to add an indentation over here. So in this of this 2, right? What is changing over here is the row number. This column number is same, right? This row is changing from 2 to 300. So first of all, I will make this I going from 2 to 300. This is I, cell I, and I. Okay. And when I run this, it's going to check for each of these values. I can make it this way, less than equal. It can be equal to also, so I make it equal to 0. And when I run this, I got it pretty quickly. It didn't even take much time from that perspective. So this is what I did. So you can try this. This is the for loop. Not 3005, rather 300. Sorry, if it's high, then it's bad. Otherwise, it'll go till the end. So practically, when I ran, if I yeah, it's 300 only. Everybody understood how this for loop works? Any issues, concerns? कोई विशेष टिप्पणी? Very good. I have just changed the value which I want to iterate, which I want to change. Is over here, the row number is changing, the column number is same. So I don't need to change anything specific other than just the row number, which is I. Now I can use an exit for also if you guys have understood till here. Any doubts? Okay, thank you. So I can even do a lot of things. Normally, if I add another sheet, and I can even using the for loop, right? I can have create something like this. If you want to try that, yeah, you can try these. In any normal programming language, you would have seen these functionalities, right? In terms of how do I add something like this, building these stars and stuff. So you can try that if you want to in your leisure time. But that was about for loop. I can even run a for loop the opposite way, in the sense instead of 2 to 300, right? I can even run it the other way around. So if I have sub for down, so this will run it the other way around. Can't it? There you go. No. Oh, sorry, it should be working. This works this way. Why is it not the other way? It's supposed to. Sorry, my bad. It doesn't work this way. I thought it would. My bad. Okay. So like I said, we can have a exit for over here. So in this case, right, if I have a value which is, let's say, if I find in this sheet, if I find the value 122, right, I should stop. So I'm going to delete this. And if I find something like this, if cells I comma 1 equal to 122, then I write exit for. If I run this, it ran only till this line because it found that 122. It did not go ahead. That is what you can use an exit for in the loop. Okay. Now I want to show before we come close, right? There are a lot of things. I send this presentation. You can try. There are a lot of things in this. There are functions. There is a date function you can use. So I'll just show you one, right? If I want to, if I have something like this is greater than 0 over here. I want to lower this. So in this case, I can write lower in Excel, right? I can write it like this, greater than 0. But I can also write a macro in this case. This is from 2 to 22. In macros, it is L case. If I run it this way, everything became lower in lowercase. Okay. So like this, there are a lot of functions in Excel, in VBA, which you can try if you want to. Now I wanted to show something very easy to do. When you add, if you click on this insert, right, you can create a user form. Okay, if I click on this user form, I get a screen like this. I can actually use this to design a screen if I want to, right? I can design a screen, a page. I can change the color of this. If I want to change the color, I will go to this. I will go to VBA properties. No. Okay. Properties. Yes. So this back color is gray. I can change it to whatever color I want. It looks very gaudy. Let's try something different. Here I have this palette. Obviously, it is limited, but you do get some decent colors. No, not so decent. Let's go with gray only. Very darker gray. Okay. I can add a box if I want to, text box, wherein I'm asking the user to enter something in this text box. So let's say you enter something. I'm adding a label over here. I will name this label as name. Okay. If I want to change something over here on the left hand side, if I right click, I got that properties window, right? If I click on the label, I get this name. So text alignment is center. I got this. It's in the center. All right. Here I got this text box. Okay. And I'm going to add a button. I'm going to add a button in terms of command button, which is okay. And I'm going to add another button. I can copy this, paste it. I put cancel. Okay, if I press F5, right, I'll see this like a user form. I can change this name, user form name. In order to change that, click on this user form anywhere. The name is coming as, you see this caption over here. I change this name form. When I press this F5, right, I see this name. Now, if I want, but nothing is happening over here, right? So I want to do something else. So if I want to add a code for this, I double click this. So it goes into a specific code. It creates a specific code for that. And when you do that, I can check. So here, if I want to check something, right, I want to check whether, what is the value of this user form. So I'm going to go a little fast, but I'll repeat this again. Okay. This is the user form. This is the text box which is there. So I'm going to name this as name form. You can just use text form one, whatever you have, right? If I click this, I can check this if, and this is the user form. So I need to use this user form. So user form one dot name form equal to blank, then message box, enter name, else I can again put the name, whatever. I can put it in a sheet, or I can just type the name, message box, your name is, I want to get that user form one dot name form dot text. So this is how I get the value of that variable, of that particular form, whatever I've entered. So, and now this click is ready. If I want to add another click for this cancel, so I just put user form one dot hide. Okay. Now let's go back to this module and we'll see how to show that in the code. If I run this now and if I press OK, it's telling me enter your name. So I'm going to put ABCD. It's going to tell me your name is ABCD, and it exited. Understood? I can actually use this to create something very simple. If I don't have anything, I can create my own design and show it to somebody. This is what I want. Unless, I mean, if you are really into programming, you can use this, create your own form. But if you're not into programming, you can use this as a mechanism to showcase your idea, showcase your thought. This is what I want. Make sense? I can even add a drop down if I want to, a combo box. I can have a combo box like this, which I can enter. Okay, make sense? Any questions? Yeah, you can actually design your entire screen. You can add whatever graphs you create, right, in Excel. You can even add those. So there is an option over here to add where is it? I mean, you can connect to database. You can do a lot of stuff over here if you really want to do that. You can add an image. Yeah, you can add an image over here. How do I add the image? Properties. So the path will be there over here. Each path. You have to do it through a code, but I was just trying to see which is easy. It's not that straightforward, but yes. You can have a radio button if you want to, option one, option two. You'll have to code for it, obviously. It's not as straightforward as any other programming language, but at least from a thought process, you can build something like this to showcase your idea to somebody. It's very crude, but it does serve the purpose. And I was just trying to see where do I get that? Where do I get that? Yes, we have these additional controls. So here I have a lot of controls. I'll have a graph also, if I'm not mistaken. You know, it has Skype meetings app and all that. You can integrate with a lot of stuff if you want to use it. Yeah, there's a flash. You can have a flash play also. I had tried to put in graphs and kind of create a small dashboard, but I'm not able to find that. It is there in this only. You can add a graph and stuff, you know, whatever is there. Any questions till now? I just wanted to quickly show this. Obviously, there are a lot of things you can do in Excel macros. Like I said, you can connect to a database. I do a lot of, you know, you can download stuff. You can do Windows automation. You can connect to a website, download that data if you want to. I mean, there are tons of things you can do in Excel if you know VBA. Any questions, guys? कोई विशेष टिप्पणी? So some of you are non-technical might find this overwhelming if you see this for the first time, but it is pretty useful if you understand it, if you know it, you know, at least this piece. Yeah, I'll share the presentation. This is something I created in 2009, still valid. Okay, you can read a file, write a file. There are a lot of things in this. You can do a lot of stuff. I mean, I have tried a lot of things in this. Whenever I have any issue or something which I need to do fast, I just write a macro. Okay. Any questions? Like I said, you can connect to a database also. So I have been able to connect to a database if I want to. So any questions, guys, till now? If not, then we can call it a day, and then we'll meet next week for your final presentation. Okay. कोई विशेष टिप्पणी? Alrighty then. Thank you very much. Talk to you soon. For the final presentation, you can take whatever, 2 or 3, whatever you like. But I mean, at least 2, right? Depending on your preference. And obviously, there should be some volume in that data because there are almost quite a lot of data sets over there. So just pick a couple of them and do your analysis on them. At least 2. All right, then. Thank you, guys. Bye bye.